Nothing Personal starts in 30 seconds. It's just business. This is Nothing Personal.
Here you go.
Icon. That's the Nothing Personal word of the day. It is Wednesday, March 12th, 2025. And let's face it, Shohei Ohtani is an icon, a megastar. Baseball is about to embark on a trip to Japan. The players are on their way. The Dodgers and Cubs are on their comfortable plane, watching movies. Major League Baseball employees, from Mike Hill, the commissioner, to everybody else, is going to be in Japan. I assume the commissioner will be in Japan. I know Mike Hill will be. And why all the excitement? They finally got games in Japan started by Japanese pitchers with a designated hitter who has transcended stardom, not just in Japan, but worldwide. But Japan is the market that baseball has used as its second most profitable market ever. As often as we try to build baseball internationally to Europe, London, Amsterdam with Vandenherk, we tried India, for crying out loud, China. The fact of the matter is that Japan provides the best pathway to profitability for the 30 owners. Because in order to profit, you need a player. Just go back to the NBA and China and Yao Ming as the start of what became and continues to be an extremely profitable relationship. But the activation that we are seeing now in Japan is on another level. The reason why Noah Garden, deputy commissioner in charge of business and media, the reason why he believes that this will be the most successful trip to Japan for baseball and the owners is that they are activating Shohei in a way that they dream about activating American players in America, but they can't find anyone to do it. This goes back to Mike Trout. This continues through Aaron Judge, who should be the face of baseball. They tried Jazz Chisholm. You have to be good. And what they're trying to do is show American players, look what can happen if you're willing to make the effort. And what effort is Shohei doing? When he gets to Japan, he will have a list, a schedule, an itinerary. He will make appearance after appearance as he's getting ready for regular season game 1 on March 18th at 6 a.m. Eastern time. And he will go from sponsor to sponsor, from Fan Fest to other appearances where the Japanese people can be a part of Ohtani, the person. But to make the money, you have to make Ohtani not the person. You have to make him the pitchman. And the pitchman is somebody who doesn't necessarily have to be live. For example, he can be in a film like MLB is doing with the makers of Demon Slayer, which is one of the most popular anime in the world. They're doing a short film, and it's going to be a crossover with Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani will become the first MLB player ever to be in the Icon series, callback, of Fortnite. We're talking about rarefied air where LeBron lives and Giannis lives and Patrick Mahomes lives. It has been the bane of baseball's existence to not have one of its players have that sort of crossover appeal. and they are embracing the fact that Ohtani can provide it, but the best place he provides it is Japan. And so what has MLB done with the Dodgers? They are bringing the Japan to Los Angeles. I want to explain the math here. Because when you see an advertisement that says MLB Tokyo Series sponsored by Guggenheim, I assume you put it together that Guggenheim is the owner of the Los Angeles Dodgers. I assume you also put it together that for Guggenheim to invest as being a sponsor of the Tokyo Series, it is done with intent. The intent is to make sure that the Dodgers become not the Cubs, who also have a Japanese pitcher starting, obviously, but that the Dodgers become the team that has the most ability to monetize Shohei Ohtani in a way that they don't have to split in 30. All of the revenue that's received by baseball, by all the activations, by the broadcast rights, by the ticket sales, by everything that goes on in Japan, that's part of the MLB International Department budget. That is part of Central Fund, and that is split 30 ways. But when the Dodgers get gate in LA, that's the Dodgers. When the Dodgers tell you that they're going to schedule 2 giveaways during the course of the season that are Hello Kitty plush giveaways, when they tell you they're going to do 4 Ohtani bobblehead giveaways, what they are telling you is they're not even hiding the fact that they are taking Japanese sponsors. They're taking Japanese fans who come in from Japan or those interested already in LA to see Ohtani or to collect bobbleheads. And they are not even pretending that Mookie Betts or Freddie Freeman or any non-Ohtani player has the commercial value that Ohtani has. Ohtani's going to have anime shirts for sale, baseball cards, every possible way that you can think of to exploit what Ohtani has to offer. So it got me thinking, what's the math that would cause the level of investment that MLB is doing in Japan for this game? What's the benefit? The games are on Fox. Fox is a potential partner for the ESPN package that has gone away, that $550 million, the wild card games, the home run derby, Sunday night baseball. Remember that baseball is trying to replace that package. And we coincidentally hear yesterday that the Fox COO has indicated that their partnership with baseball is so strong that they would have interest as a broadcaster to replace ESPN and take that package. Is that a coincidence? Is it a coincidence when the Dodgers and Cubs were asked to be part of the Tokyo series? It's all part of the plan to increase the revenue in all of baseball. And to increase the revenue in all of baseball, you have different components. You've got gates, and that's domestic. You have all the international rights that are sold, with Japan being the #1 revenue driver. It is so refreshing to me to see what baseball is doing and that Ohtani is willing to have it be done with him, for him, and to him. MLB's already cautioning you. They're already giving you indications that the revenue from this Japan series, the opening series brought to you by Guggenheim, is going to be the biggest yet. They are out there doing media telling you about the activations they're doing, giving you indications that the audience for this game, the ratings for this game, the interest for this game will be the biggest ever. Last year, when the season opened in Seoul, you may recall the Dodgers were there too. You may recall that was the time that Ohtani got embroiled in his translator's gambling scandal. This year, It's clean. This year, there is no narrative other than what is positive, which enables MLB to say that they expect to surpass the record revenue from last year by 240%. And the revenue they got in Seoul, it's not like going from $1 to $2.40 and saying, look, we're up 140%. 1 to 240 is 140%. It is a much larger number. And then, coincidentally, after an off season of intrigue, the game 2 starter is the new Japanese sensation, the 23-year-old pitcher Sasaki. So the Dodgers go from Yamamoto to Sasaki, game 1, game 2, making the interest in the games in Japan not for one game, not for one at bat, but for the complete 2-game series. What do you do to maximize it? Everything they're doing. But guess what? Here's what comes next. What comes next is more than 2 games in Japan. What comes next is the ability for MLB to actually extract even more offers to have more games, the way Roger Goodell has done with his international series, which started as a random game in London and ended up as a full international series. It's what MLB has been trying to do for 25 years. Hours and hours of meetings with MLB International, figuring out where to play. How do we get a stronghold in different places? Now coming to the conclusion that the best bang for the buck is going to be in Japan, and we better milk it now and then expand it now. If MLB is smart, they will find a way to increase the number of series in Tokyo, not just make it an opening series, which is made easier because the Cubs and Dodgers travel now. It's spring training. They get time when they come home to have more spring training before March 27th when the regular season starts. But the fact of the matter is that if the price is right, you can find a way, given the number of increased off days that exist in baseball because of the collective bargaining agreement, you can find a way to get a series maybe before the All-Star break, another one in Japan. MLB is racking their brains figuring out how to make more and more and more because that's their job. And this series in Tokyo, I could not be more excited about it. I assume you will all be up at 6 a.m. on March 18th and 19th. Even those of you in LA right now, of course you're going to wake up at 3 a.m. Why wouldn't you? Vladimir Guerrero's got to stop, though. All the excitement about the season starting and all of the rankings that we're seeing and who's going to make what team and what are the futures and who's going to win the pennant. Everyone excited for my prediction show before March 27th when we talk about who's going to win. And I tell you the Mariners are going to win the World Series, and then they don't. You got to stop. I did a show yesterday, Coca, Monday maybe, Blair and Barker. It's a great show, Sportsnet 560 in Canada, all throughout Canada. Thank you to everyone listening in Canada. I'm sorry. Thank you for everyone listening in Canada. I appreciate. We got an email, Coca, that someone who stopped listening to the show because of the craziness of what's going on between the U.S. and Canada is back. They couldn't live without you, Coca. What I said on Monday is we need Guerrero to not be a distraction. I don't think he's going to be a distraction, but I'd like him to consider shutting the yapper. But nope. Yesterday, he came out with a doozy, an absolute doozy. The New York Post is reporting, and I believe it, Vladimir Guerrero, who's about to be 26 on Sunday, is looking for $500 million. $500 million as a free agent seems reasonable these days, except he wants $500 million without deferrals, meaning he wants a present-day contract bigger than Shohei Ohtani. Please stay with me. Shohei Ohtani, remember his contract, $70 million a year for 10 years, $700 million. But you remember the deferrals where he gets paid $2 million a year for the first 10 years and $68 million a year for the last 10 years. And remember, we told you how smart he is, because when you go to Tokyo, the guy's on every billboard possible. He is making well over $68 million a year in endorsements, which means he gets his $70 million now. And when he is retired, he will keep getting $68 million from the Dodgers. But the present value of that contract is below $500 million. Aaron Judge, below. As a matter of fact, Juan Soto's contract, where he just did the 14 years, 765, there are no deferrals contained in that contract, but you still have to present value it back because you're getting that money over the course of 14 years. What Guerrero is saying is that he wants $500 million, no deferrals, and he wants that present value. So a 14-year, $500 million contract would not do it. The way to get 500 in present value is to get 500 in the present. So I'd like to believe he made a simple math mistake, or that his agent wasn't paying attention. Because the way the math works in economics is that if you've got $1 today, that means you've got $1 in present value. If you have a salary of $2, $1 per year, the present value is $1, which you're getting now, and then you discount the next dollar from the next year, and let's pretend that's 90 cents, which means you're at $1.90. So for Guerrero to say that he wants 500 in present value, he is in Emma Stone land. Total la-la. I don't exactly understand why he's coming out with this. I don't understand what his purpose is. Is he trying to indicate to teams who may want him, Yankees, maybe? Blue Jays are still going to try. The Giants try for everyone. Marlins, who knows who? Is he trying to indicate now, prior to his platform season, what he wants? You do understand that the only team he can sign with until 5 days after this coming World Series in October is the Toronto Blue Jays. You also understand that this year will be an interesting indicator of what his worth is. The platform year, the walk year matters. You know what you're getting with Guerrero, mostly. There is a level of inconsistency. There's a worry about the body. There's a worry about where he'll play on the field. It's not as though 29 teams need to understand that he's a free agent or are reading his articles and his quotes and saying, oh, I forgot that he's available. Let's start evaluating him. Is he trying to win a PR war? There is nothing that he can do to increase his value other than playing well and making his team better. The side note about Canada and Coca, I didn't tell you I was going to talk about it. I don't like telling you when I'm going to talk politics. Don't hang up, everybody, but just hear me out. You've all been reading about the tariffs, I assume. You all have been reading how the narrative of the president is that we think Canada should be the 51st state. Some of you may know that there's going to be a new prime minister in Canada who was voted in by the Liberal Party, same party as Trudeau, same system as England. It's not a democratic vote by the people. The people vote in Parliament. Parliamentary party in power controls and names the prime minister. The fact of the matter is there is no scenario where Canada will become the 51st state of the U.S. Second, what tariffs do when we hear the words trade war, when you look in your retirement account and you panic, don't sell. Don't sell when the market goes down like that. You will be sorry. Markets go up and down. The retirement fund you have, this is not investment advice. This is me just telling you what I think. Do not listen if you don't want to. Sorry, DraftKings. Sorry, Metalark. I gave the proviso. But what trade wars do is they hurt the people on both sides of the war, because you've got the government in the US saying, we want work in America. We want products in America. We want to make sure that we take care of us first. What people forget to understand in a tariff war, in a trade war, is that the impact of both sides is actually far more negative than any sort of trade deficit that exists between two countries. Why? Because markets tend to find their equilibrium. If it is better for a company to do business with Canadian products or with products made in China, they're able to do that because it's the customers who are willing to continue to buy the products, whether they're made in China, made in Texas, made in Canada. And if the quality of the products decreases because the work is bad, the market will speak and the companies will change. The reason why companies are after profitability is because you don't want your stock portfolio to go down. You don't want the market to go down. Therefore, you demand that companies find paths to profitability and the bolstering of stock prices. When it comes to the trade war and the tariff issue with Canada, for all of the Blue Jays fans out there, I encourage you not to worry that the owner of the Blue Jays will have any issue re-signing Vladimir Guerrero and use the trade war and the tariffs as an excuse, or the weakness of the Canadian dollar, or the strength of the Canadian dollar. The reality is that the Blue Jays have never had a payroll problem. The Blue Jays had a we didn't win in the window of our great young players problem. That is a problem that exists in an overwhelming majority of major league teams, where you recognize your window, you take advantage of your window, you sign players, and you still don't win. Remember, 29 losers every single year, one winner. I'm going to give you a wait to see about Guerrero. You thought I'd give you a wait to see about the trade war, but I'm not. A wait to see about Guerrero is the following. Make it official. Go on to davidsampsonpodcast.com and you can see a tracking document with all the wait to sees, all the great picks of the day. Although I got better last night. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. will not get a $500 million present value contract in free agency. Wait to see. One of the things that we waited and that we have seen is we told you what Brian Cashman was going to do after the injury to Garrett Cole. We said the only strategy is for him to say that what they have is good enough. They're going to go with it because they were not going to get sniped by any of the other teams. Cashman came out exactly as we said he would. And he said very little is available in the pitching marketplace at this time of year. The Yankees will rely on what we have. The Yankees will explore outside opportunities, but luxury tax penalties make it less likely that they will add from the outside. Before you get upset and angry, please remember that we told you that the Yankees had insurance on Garrett Cole. We found out yesterday the Yankees are going to get $27 million given to them by the insurance company. I roll my eyes. If you're listening to this, you didn't see me roll my eyes, because I've never gotten a check from an insurance company without having to threaten a lawsuit. They don't walk over to your desk and just hand you a $27 million check and say, thanks for playing. This was easy. They fight you every step of the way. But even when the Yankees, I should say, 4869, even if the Yankees get the $27 million, that money cannot be put back into payroll because all of Garrett Cole's salary this year is still counted as part of the luxury tax. Exactly what we told you. So don't panic. Don't get excited. But know at the deadline, the Yankees will make an acquisition. All right. I wanted to do what happened here, Coca. Do you want to go to break? All right, we're going to go to break. I'm going to review a movie on Netflix that I am going to ask you. It's a documentary. And then I want to get into a So You Want to Talk to Samson question because one of you had an outstanding question. Baseball did something totally ridiculous. And we'll talk about all of that and more after the break. Welcome back to Nothing Personal. Thanks for being here. It is 8:25 Eastern Time. If you're watching this on DraftKings Network, it's about 10:25, notwithstanding what the commercials may be. I watched something on Instagram, and I got to give it a few minutes of my time and of your time. I watched it on Netflix. Why did I say Instagram? Oh, because that's the name of the show on Netflix. The Search for Instagram's Worst Con Artist. It is a two-part series on Netflix. It's about someone named Belle Gibson. There's a 6-episode show called Apple Cider Vinegar, and it's about the same person, but this is the documentary about this person. Here's the scam. Her name is Belle Gibson. Her claim is that she's dying of brain cancer. Her further claim is that she is beautiful and healthy and doing great with stage 4 brain cancer because she subscribes to her own app, which is about healthy living and healthy eating and going organic and doing all the things that you need to do by getting vitamin B69, F, HIT, A42, bingo. And I am not being cynical. We've all had losses with cancer, and we all know that if you were diagnosed with cancer, you would try everything. And the reason why it's such fertile ground for scams is that people who are dying are desperate. Therefore, they're more apt to believe anything you say. Therefore, if you say to somebody, if you do X, you'll be cured, you'll feel better, you won't die now, what's the price you'd pay? It doesn't matter where you are on the line of wealth, from poverty-stricken to Elon Musk. There is no price you wouldn't pay. But in the case of Belle Gibson, all you had to do was download a paid app on Apple. It became one of the most popular and frequently downloaded apps ever. Download the app, buy products, eat, pray, love. You'll look like me. Well, not me, David Sampson, but me, Belle Gibson. The sort of scams that exist on Instagram, the sort of scams that exist on certain apps, certain people making promises, I would argue that these scams, and we've reviewed a bunch of movies about them. Remember the one with June Squibb, where she got scammed out of money? Remember the one where people call in a voice of your grandchild and say, hey, I'm in prison, send bail money? Remember the ones who say, click here, you owe money for a toll. Click here for your USPS package that didn't arrive. I'm not talking just identity theft. I'm talking money theft. And it's not just people who are trying to empty your bank accounts. It's people who are trying to get you to buy products because they scam you into believing they are something they are not. If you want to focus on something with doji and efficiency, I have an idea other than the way that we are using a machete to eliminate government deficits. Side note, not offended to try to run a business. Very offended when you come in and try to run a business when you don't know what the business is and you don't take the time to understand it and just make cuts for the sake of making cuts and then lie about the amount of those cuts. But I digress. Never an argument about our deficit. It's an argument about process. What the scammers do online is they skip the whole process and they go right to the message of hope, the message of health, the message of freedom, all of the things that we hope to be able to take for granted as a democracy, as a human being. We are now subject in all ways, shapes, and manners on all of these online issues. We are now all subject to get caught. I would say to you the following: please don't click. If something's too good to be true, it is. If there's a Nigerian email that says, give $50,000 to an account and I promise I will wire back $150,000 in 5 days. If something's too good to be true, it is. If you remember that, you will not get scammed. There is no hell hot enough for Belle Gibson. Heaven got a new person today. I'm disappointed how few people have heard of Junior Bridgeman. Junior Bridgeman died of a heart attack while giving a presentation in Louisville. Am I allowed to say that, Coca? Louisville? That's how you're supposed to say it. Thank you, Kirsten Dunst. Junior Bridgeman was a player who I got to watch when I was born and lived in Milwaukee until I was 4. He was traded to the Bucks as part of the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar trade when Kareem went to the Lakers. Junior Bridgeman was a middle-of-the-road NBA player. He had a very nice career, very average, which obviously still makes him above average. Junior Bridgeman died a billionaire. Junior Bridgeman should be discussed in the same sentence as Magic Johnson, as Shaquille O'Neal, as Jamal Mashburn, as many of the players who, once their careers were done, created businesses, bought businesses, built businesses, and created wealth in ways that would shock you, like by buying Wendy's franchises or Chili's franchises. The other thing Junior Bridgeman bought last year was 10% of the Milwaukee Bucks. Only 1 year later, at 71 years old, an age way too young, he has passed away. I send my condolences and best wishes and love to Junior Bridgeman's family. I also would like to say there was a second death. The promoter of the Nothing Personal Tour, Mark Stein's mom, passed away yesterday. I wanted to send my love to Mark and to his family on the passing of his mother. May her memory forever be a blessing. Okay, Coca, play some music, please.
You know what I want? I want to talk to Samson.
So you want to talk to Samson. Ever seen the movie Half Baked 2? Don't. Ever seen the movie Half Baked? See it now. Even if you're 20% baked, you will love the movie Half Baked, and you will find a character named Samson. Everybody wants to talk to Samson. DavidSamsonPodcast.com. David P. Samson on Twitter, X, Insta, Blue Sky. Hi, David. Great shows to start the week. I love that. You totally butter me up. Get your question on the air. Although, maybe the subject has to be good. So New Era had to pull their Rangers overlap hats for spelling out a vulgar word in Spanish, to say nothing of how the Angels and Astros hats look. Do MLB or the teams get a review process before these things go out? Well, thank you for asking. For those of you watching, we're going to show you a picture of the Texas Rangers overlap hat. And what you will see is that there's a T over the X, which makes it T-E-T-A-S. In my Upper East Side Jewish accent, I can't roll the T. Tetas. Is that right, Coca? Was I close? That is a word It's a word for breast. It is a word that should not be on a hat. Therefore, MLB pulled all the hats and they're no longer for sale. I would like to solve the mystery for you because every year we get an email. The clubhouse manager gets it, the GM gets it, the marketing, the president of the team. We all get an email with what New Era, Nike, Majestic, whoever the league apparel sponsors are, we get an email with a sheet that has all of the contemplated designs, and then we approve it. If we have a problem, we say something to Major League Baseball. If we don't have a problem, we approve it, and then magically, delicious boxes of apparel show up at the clubhouse for use by players. Boxes show up at the team store to be sold to fans, and online pictures show up on MLB.com for fans to purchase online. As a reminder, if you want to support your hometown team, you will buy from hometown team in stadium stores or stores around the city because your team gets to keep all that revenue. When you go on MLB.com and buy a jersey or a hat, that revenue is split 30 ways equally. Once MLB sends the email to the teams, it is incumbent on the teams to pay attention and then respond. But before that happens, MLB has been working with New Era. They work with their apparel sponsors to get the designs for each team. There's a level of approval before the teams even get to approve it. I do not see any scenario where everybody looked at the Rangers hat and didn't know the word they were looking at. I find it to be impossible. I also find it impossible that people working in MLB and for the Texas Rangers, not one of them knew about that word. Now, 57, white, speaks French, not Spanish. I looked at the release of all 30 hats and I was like, God, that's so weird. They covered the T and Titus. I saw what it said, didn't know what the word meant, didn't think anything about it. But I certainly, when I was running the Marlins, had bilingual people in positions where there is no way that would have escaped our attention. We are way too sensitive about how things look, how they sound, how they can be perceived to allow a mistake like that to happen. This is different than the jersey lettering size issue that's now fixed by Nike. It's different than the size of the numbers. It's different than I'm sweating through my pants and I can see your skivvies. All of that is different, though it's tested also. Anything with words gets checked and double checked in a way that makes this mistake hard to imagine that it was anything other than purposeful. Maybe it was thought to be funny, because there's no way that MLB or the Rangers are going to come out and say, oh, we missed it. Oh, we didn't get a chance to see it, because that lacks total credibility. It won't be talked about much, but now you know the truth. The blame lies squarely with MLB and the Texas Rangers. I put it at 80-20. If I were assigning a negligence jury award where I had to figure out what percentage of who was to blame for this, I'm going to go 80-20 Rangers. The Angels hats, the Astros hats, they were pulled too. I think they're going to just start over. I think it was a probably bad idea. But the question was more about Texas, Coca, not about the Angels and Astros. It's really fun to do a show with you all because I just want to point out that I have no script. I'm talking to you for 50 minutes, and I got Coca yelling in my ear that the Angels and Astros hats were pulled too. Well, can I see a picture of them? Did they have some sort of slang word in Spanish, or did they just look bad? I don't know. I'm going to call Pablo and find out. So the Angels hat apparently said anals. In the annals of time. I don't think they meant the thing from which, whatever. We're going to move on. Can we talk about Del Curry, if you don't mind? Del Curry has a son named Steph Curry, and that's the Curry I'm talking about, not Del Curry. 4869. Can we talk about Steph Curry, please? Steph Curry was announced yesterday as the new assistant general manager of the Davidson basketball program. The first thing I thought of was Woj. Is Curry retiring? Is he taking a full-time job at his alma mater? Has he decided that playing with Jimmy Butler is not worth it anymore? Has he finally had enough of Draymond Green? Why would he want to be the assistant general manager of Davidson? And then, of course, I got a little more information. It turns out that Steph Curry will be the first active player in U.S. major professional sports to take an administrative job with a college team. And then it turns out that his job description as an assistant general manager of Davidson is not an administrative job. It is true that assistant general managers of baseball teams and of other sports teams, it is very much an administrative job. Sometimes you can be the GM of a team in Miami and have an administrative job. The reality is that Steph Curry is not showing up to work at Davidson and doing the grind work that AGMs do. This is all about Steph Curry giving money into Davidson, the collective, in order to help recruit. This is about him actually trying to raise more money than he's going to already donate and trying to build a program in Davidson. This is not news breaking. This is not even newsworthy. Why did he want that title? James Harden's been doing this with Arizona State. LeBron James been doing this with Ohio State. There are players left, right, and center who have been donating money to their alma mater, or what could have been their alma mater in LeBron James's case, in order to get a better team. It's happening in football and basketball. It's not happening in women's water polo. But what's the reason for the title? It got me thinking. When you negotiate a gift, whether it's Pitbull getting the naming rights to FIU's campus stadium, whether it's doing a regular sponsorship deal with Delta to be the Delta Center, or Crypto. I'll never pay you com to be the head of Staples Center and the name there, or the 59 names that pro players had before they settled on Hard Rock, or a league done deal to get a naming rights deal in Miami. Whatever the case is, it's actually pretty simple. You are giving money in order to improve your brand, in order to move product. You're either doing it as a growth marketing initiative or you're doing it to actually move merchandise. It turns out that what the head coach of UCLA, Mick Cronin, said about Steph Curry is, what the hell's he got time to do besides give them money and every now and then call a recruit? The role of being a GM allows you to call a recruit. So I needed to find out whether or not you had to have an official position within a college basketball program in order to call on recruits. And instead of doing a deep dive into the NCAA rules and regulations, it occurred to me to do a deep dive into what really happens. It's like telling you about tampering. Not allowed to talk about other players on other teams or contact other players on other teams. And you know from watching the show that this level of tampering happens every single day. We do it in a calculated way. We do it through agents. We do it through our own players. We do it through people down the ladder in the company, like pro scouts. We are always tampering. Everybody is always tampering. Do you think that alums who are really super duper famous are only making videos to be shown in a recruit's living room? Hey, look, Steph Curry has a cameo message for you. Absolutely not. Personal contact is happening. It's always happened. The fact that there's NIL and there is money now for players only means there's more to talk about than the size of the weight room. You get to talk out loud about the amount of money. And when you give money, you get power. Steph Curry has the power with Davidson to say, I like that recruit. I spoke to him. I think he'd be a valuable addition. And part of the money that I'm giving this year, I would like it to be for this player to be on the team. That's also not groundbreaking. The idea of using money and power, where else do we see that? I can't imagine. Steph Curry is preparing for life after basketball, as he should. He's in the sunset of his career, still has an opportunity to win a ring with Butler. Not going to happen, but has an opportunity. Steph Curry also had it announced yesterday that he has invested in Unrivaled. I wanted to talk about that for a second with giving you the proviso that Unrivaled also has John Skipper involved, who is Meadowlark, part of Meadowlark. So am I. It's only March 12th. Steph Curry joins an unbelievable who's who list of investors in Unrivaled in a way that Steve Ross used to do in Miami when he first got there, when he got Mark Anthony and the Williams sisters and all the celebrities to walk the red carpet. If you know, you know. And they were very small limited partners in the team. Unrivaled has put together this list of investors as a way to lend and build credibility to the league that they are trying to make a success. It's had its first year in Miami. The regular season is over. Remember, all the games were played in the TV studio in Miami. What would be an indication to you that Unrivaled has work to do? It's not getting Steph Curry as an investor. It's the realization that they're talking about potentially playing not just in Miami for season 2, taking the show on the road, giving more people access to it. When the reality is the access was meant to be as a TV product, and they got a great TV deal from Warner Brothers Discovery, and the numbers have been pretty damn phenomenal for a first-year league. But as you know, in business, you always have to be growing and changing. You can't stay stagnant. You can't do the same thing in year 2 that you did in year 1 without adjustments. And adding Steph Curry to the list of investors, that's a good positive step, but not as meaningful as the changes that Unrivaled is going to go through as they head into their year 2. Because mark my words, without any inside information, there will be changes. Let's go to our pick of the day. Nothing personal, pick of the day. Did you see Halliburton's shot to beat the Bucks yesterday? Pacers were down 114-111, 3.9 seconds left. Ball goes inbounds on an amazing play that was drawn up by the Pacers. I was going to say by Rick Carlisle, but I can't remember whether he's the coach of the Pacers. Yes, it was. Rick Carlisle draws up a play. Halliburton fading, corner, fades, shoots, swish. Giannis, foul, 5-minute replay. Frankly, it looked more like an offensive foul, but for purposes of our pick of the day, we needed no overtime because we were getting 3 points. We wanted the game not to end with my second push in a row, and so it didn't. The Pacers end up getting the 4-point play, beating the Bucks, and we are now 20-27. My focus tonight is on a finals preview, a very likely finals preview. You've got the Oklahoma City Thunder playing the Boston Celtics at the Garden, and the Thunder are plus 140 on the money line. I'm not sure people are exactly focused on the fact that the Oklahoma City Thunder and Chris Brockman have a great show. Love you, Rich Eisen, the whole gang there. But your blindness toward the Celtics makes me smile because after the first week, you assumed you were looking at 82-0. But while you all were sleeping in Boston, the Thunder are the better team. Anytime you can get the Thunder plus 140 on a money line, I don't care where the game's played. I want that value, and that's going to be our pick of the day. Thunder plus 140. As you head into the rest of the day, look for more free agent news in the NFL, because today is the day when all the stuff can happen that has been rumored and already leaked by insiders. But today is the day for business. So in the NFL today, it's just going to be a lot of business. We'll be back tomorrow. This is Nothing Personal.